This is an essay by me titled The Year of the Wild Horse, and I'm going to read it aloud to you. I came up with this essay idea last week when I was sick in bed. It was the turn of the new year, I think it was like January 3rd, and I was watching this documentary on CBC about a colony of wild horses that lived on Sable Island. 2026 is the year of the horse in the Chinese zodiac, and I think watching this documentary had me thinking about what kind of horse I wanted to be going into the year 2026. Do I want to be this workhorse that's all bridled with responsibilities and pressures to become this great somebody? Or do I kind of want to be like a wild horse on Sable Island, which is, has a little bit of freedom and wildness? And I realized, as silly as it is, I wanted to be a Sable Island wild horse. So I wrote this essay and it made me feel a lot better. And I thought maybe it might bring some comfort to you. So I'm going to read it out loud. A few decades ago, a headless woman washed up on the shore of Sable Island. Her body, eventually discovered by a team of Parks Canada beachcombers, was smoothed by years of wind-blown sand. She was made of wood, the figurehead of a doomed barge that crashed into the crescent sandbar a long time ago. Standing, chest-puffed, she lifts the hem of her skirt from dragging in the salty froth. The surface of her wood is cracked and beaten, but still glows, a soft, oaky orange. This morning, sick with a chest cold and falling behind on my work again, I find myself terribly envious of this wooden woman. She got to live on Sable Island, and all she had to do was lose her head. And I do think she needed to lose her head. I'm quite certain that if the thing was not ripped from her shoulders, the Atlantic would have left her bobbing up and down, alone amongst the waves. Losing her face and her mind meant that she was able to wash ashore. It sounds tragic, the loss of an identity, but I've begun to wonder. Any reader should remember that being a nobody on an island is a very clever thing to be. Odysseus told the treacherous Cyclops on Sicily that his name was Outis, ancient Greek for nobody. When he eventually attacked the one-eyed beast in the night, the Cyclops called out to his comrades, no one is hurting me!" Hearing him, they figured he was being struck down by a powerful Olympian force, and left him to die. It was only as no one that Odysseus found freedom. And then, think of the fearsome captain of the Nautilus and 20,000 leagues below the sea. He took a page from the Odyssey, seeing the potential for emancipation and nobodiness. His name, Nemo, literally translates to nobody in Latin. In taking on this pseudonym, in becoming nobody and escaping into the depths of the ocean in a submarine, he was impossible to capture. He was free from imperialism on his self-sustaining underwater island. Sable Island is remote. I have never been there, and I'm quite sure you haven't either. Only a small number of guests are permitted to visit the island each year, so my imagination feeds on the photographs and documentaries I've been viewing from bed all morning. A ways off the coast of Nova Scotia, Sable Island is thin and curved up, like the smearing of a child's finger in cake frosting, revealing the vanilla box mix below. The narrowness of the island makes it difficult to spot from a distance, and sandbars are in constant flux, shifting in response to tides, wave patterns, and currents. To some, the island has become known as the graveyard of the Atlantic, because of the great number of ships torn apart on its beaches. The dune is covered in bits of those ships that never returned to port, and buried below the sand are the bones of the momentary survivors of shipwrecks who would perish on the windswept island. Atop this all grows a tuft of pure gossamer grass. This green field waves invitingly in the gentle sea breeze to a number of coastal birds flying overhead. What this island is best known for, though, is the glorious herd of feral horses. These Sable Island horses have made a strange home of the sandbar. They differ from other breeds. Developing thick bodies and woolly unkempt hair, their mane flows around their faces in beautiful matted clumps. They are sustained on rainwater or by digging their teeth into the earth to find groundwater. They have no predators on the island, and wild grasses, strawberries, and cranberries are abundant. So they do not chase nor compete. They only leave lazy hoofprints across the soft sand beaches as they roam. Such hush. These horses were abandoned by humans long ago without names or pastures. I read that a reason for their abandonment was that so many people died, shipwrecked and exposed on the island, that the horses were intended to be a rescue measure. In fact, a number of farm animals were left on Sable Island, to provide a source of food or labor for stranded people. Though all the other animals would die out, only the wild horses survived. The New Year turn means an impending reset of the Chinese zodiac calendar. This year is another year of the horse. I was born in a year of the horse, and I have found this week that horses will not leave my mind. I must tell you about a particularly disturbing dream that I had the other night. A workhorse stood in my bedroom doorframe, at my feet. He was harnessed and impatient, and trotted with pace toward my sleep-warm bed. In my weak, still waking hands, I clutched the rumpled cream sheets and turned with a twist, burrowing my heaving body underneath it all. Though muffled through cotton, I could hear the horse continuing his approach. I could feel his hooves sinking into the thick 1970s carpets as if it were the tight winter skin of my forehead. I noticed that it was nearly impossible for me to breathe now. He was taking all the oxygen out of the room and transforming it into sour, muggy horse breath. As I choked, my face became wet with a mix of perspiration and condensing breath, and suddenly the blankets fell through my fingers like fine sand and slid from my body. I was exposed to him, and his slim face buried itself into my shoulder, like a lover. His leather reins dug into my neck, and the gentleness of his actions made me sick. His breath entered my ear, blowing back the soft, short hairs at the base of my scalp. The howl of his exhale was deafening, like the winds on the peak of Highland mountains, and it began to slowly trickle from my nose as if he was breathing through me. Frozen in fear, the strange, vinegary horse breath stung my lungs, my throat, my nasal passage. In a panic, I tried to heave it all out of my body, but his breath was all I was able to breathe until I woke up. The modern individual has a lot of pressure upon them in January. There are many new things to buy and to be busy with, and dinner table talk revolves, for the first few weeks of the month, around plans to be better. If you don't have a set of personal goals to lift off, you'll be left looking completely unambitious. But this year, from under the New Year pressure, I realized I no longer know how to be better. Last January, I made up a somebody from all of the good qualities, and I crafted her an equally perfect life to live in. She was slim and kind and wealthy. Simply knowing her, however, wasn't enough to transform me into this grateful self. I still take the bus, eat a little bit too much dinner, and forget that I've made 2 appointments on the same day. And though I accomplished things last year, I was never safely certain I would. I never became someone, not that beautiful someone I created or any other sort of somebody. I thought I may be someone in grad school or someone with a boy at her side or someone who hosted a really fun evening, but I remained that sunken-in, nobody Camille that has always been around. The person staring back at me in the warped elementary school bathroom mirror as I scrubbed harsh pink soap on my chubby hands with bitten nails. The one in the passenger side mirror of my mom's car on the way home from a muddy soccer game with grass stuck to her forehead. Those green eyes, wide and ringed in red, staring back and understanding that this is me, it's what I'll be forever. There was a spirit that possessed me in the year of the horse back in 2002, and it continues to animate this 23-year-old body. And it will until my body lets go. Those workout programs and new journals only led me back to her. How foolish I feel now that I believed finding success as a writer, a creative, would allow me to better understand why I'm here. That I thought fame and praise would lead me by the reins to my purpose. I see that there is no new, better spirit that emerges because I occupy my time better, or look better like wall art. One day I'll have a sunroom and a great number of friends and millions of well-written words, and I'll still be around to enjoy it. Sick and bedridden, I take nothing from a reined workhorse. I look now for inspiration amongst the Sable Island wild horses. Like Scottish kelpies haunting the Atlantic, they lure my weary soul toward the sea, and I long to be pulled into the depths, to drown, then to wash up headless or lay as unmarked bones in a sandy grave, to find that sweet nobodiness that one is required to find on Sable Island. But don't despair for me. Deciding to be nobody isn't giving in to nothingness. I still live, I still desire, I just desire something different. Emily Dickinson, who never lived to see her great consequence in the arts, once wrote privately, "I'm nobody, who are you?" She expressed a sort of island of comfort and camaraderie that can be formed between two nobodies. The poem's narrator, upon finding this fellow nobody, understands the power of this essence. She states, "How dreary to be somebody who, like a bullfrog, croaks about yourself all the livelong June. I have no illusions of somebodyness left to croak. This year, I only have the things I create, while being possessed by the same old spirit." And then at the end I write, although this is a work of fiction, most of the information I've included is true, to my knowledge, bizarre as it all is. Thank you for listening. You can read the full thing on my Substack and lots of my other writing. I love you very much. Bye.